one of the things that I've always said is I want to step into death fully aware. I don't want to be on drugs. I don't want to, I don't want to be drugged up when I step into death. I want to experience that last part of human life, fully awake and fully aware. Hello, and welcome to the Willows Cottage. It's a beautiful, wonderful, rainy morning today, and I don't know, I feel really cozy today. I feel really wonderful, and I just wanted to talk about something that happened to me recently. Better. So, I woke up in the middle of the night 2 nights ago, and so first of all, before I start this story, I should probably tell you this could be too much information. So if you are queasy, you might want to click me off right now and not watch the video. I'm not going to show anything gross. I'm just going to talk about something that's probably pretty gross and probably too much information, but man, it was an ordeal. I just feel like I kind of want to talk about it. So I woke up in the middle of the night about 2 nights ago, and I was throwing up. So I threw up a little bit. I couldn't understand why, but I had, for dinner, I had a little mini single serving frozen pizza and like a half a glass of wine to go with it, maybe a glass. So, and the reason for that is when I have surgery, I do have to buy like frozen meals because I don't have anyone to cook for me and I can't cook for myself. So I buy the little frozen meals so that I have something to eat when I take my meds or when I'm hungry. And the other thing that I do as well is if I go to a nice restaurant with a friend or something like that, I'll order a little extra and I'll bring it home so that I have something, yummy to eat. So that being said, I had the frozen pizza and about a glass of wine, and I, stop, what is wrong with you? Stop that. Why is he doing this now? Stop. So that was going on at about 11 o'clock at night, and I had eaten about maybe 6:30. So I was like, oh gosh. So then I did all that and I went to sleep and I woke up again and I was throwing up again, but this time there wasn't anything left. So for the next, let's see, probably 6 hours, I had horrific dry heaves, like horrific dry heaves to the point where my body was trembling. My hands were numb. I couldn't breathe. I was not able to catch my breath. So, and my stomach was insanely painful. I was having all these pains shooting up through my stomach, shooting around, shooting up through my shoulder. What else? Oh, and then the nausea. The nausea was horrific. It was like motion sickness times 10. It was horrible nausea, and of course I couldn't get rid of it because I was still dry heaving, really, really huge dry heaves, not little ones, really big ones, and so that was disturbing everything. So I finally, at 6 o'clock in the morning, I finally put Louis in his pen and said, I gotta get to the emergency room. Something's going on here. This is not food poisoning. This is something scary, like a stroke or maybe a heart attack or appendicitis or what's the other things, your gallbladder. I was kind of thinking that at this point, it's been 6.5 hours, 7 hours since I started the evacuation of food, and I couldn't think of it being literally, I couldn't think of it as being food poisoning because I really didn't have anything. And so like that would cause that. But nevertheless, I drove myself to the emergency room, and I did think about calling a friend and or maybe calling an ambulance, but I thought, oh my gosh, that's so dramatic. But I probably, in hindsight, probably should have, because I was it was good. It was early in the morning. There was no traffic out. It was really dangerous. And I look back and I know I shouldn't have done that, but I was having a really, really difficult time driving to the hospital. In fact, by the time I had gotten to the hospital and parked, I got out of the Jeep and I almost fell over because I was so dizzy. And then I started getting really disoriented and I couldn't find my way into the door. I couldn't find my way into the emergency room. And so I found a bench and I sat down and I literally called 911 and I said, something's going on with me. I don't know what's going on. I'm really, really sick. I'm really dizzy. I can't walk because I'm disoriented and I can't, I'm gonna fall over if I try to walk. And I am here at the emergency room at this hospital, but I can't find my way in. And so 911 called the hospital, sent somebody out. They came and got me in a wheelchair. They took me in. It was probably the worst night of my life. The worst night of my life. I remember at one point I just yelled out, "I'm in the hospital now. I'm admitted. I'm in the hospital. I'm on a gurney or whatever, the hospital bed. I'm hooked up to everything. They put an IV in me. They're ordering all these tests, everything." And she had ordered some pain medicine to be put in my IV, one to numb everything up in here for the pain medicine, and then she gave me a sedative as well. But she had to order it from the pharmacy, and the pharmacy has to put it all together, and then it's got to come up, and that's about an hour process. In the meantime, there was literally one point. Now you have to understand, this is probably about, at 11 was the onset. At this point, it was probably about 6, 7:38, 8 a.m. So this has been going on for 9 hours, and it hasn't gotten any better. In fact, it's getting worse. And so one of the things that kind of pissed me off is they go saying, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I don't fucking know what's wrong with me. That's why I'm here. Fix me." I was getting really testy. So there was at one point where they all left, and at one point one of them said, "What'd you do to your arm?" And I went, "That has no fucking bearing on what I'm here for." Like, I was like, fuck. I was so much pain. I was in so much pain. So then I just curled up. This is kind of pathetic, but and looking back, I know now I wasn't going to die. But at the time, I didn't know that. I really honestly believed I was going to die. So there was one point where I just curled up on the bed and I just started praying. Like, I know this is the end. This is how I go. I never got my house. I never, whatever. And this is how I go, is in a fucking hospital. And I'm sorry for the F-bomb, but I'm kind of reliving it in my mind while I'm telling you the story. But so I curled up and I just accepted that this was my intimate death and that I was going to die. And that was it. So finally, they bring in the medicine. They put it in my IV. The medicine immediately starts, like the whatever sedative they put in there, man, hit me like immediately. I was like, whoa, this is how I feel when I'm going into like surgery. Just bam, it hit me. And I was like, oh, okay. So one of the things, this is off topic, but one of the things that I've always said is I want to step into death fully aware. I don't want to be on drugs. I don't want to, I don't want to be drugged up when I step into death. I want to experience that last part of human life, fully awake and fully aware. So there was a part of me that was kind of like going, oh, great, now I'm going to die on drugs. One thing I didn't want. I can't even die right. I'm telling myself this. So anyway, the drugs kicked in, started getting better, at least mentally. The other drugs in here started numbing everything up. So I started getting numb. So I started feeling a little bit better just mentally and in my stomach. So then they come in and they hook me up for an EKG. And that means I have to have a CAT scan. And if they do an EKG, that doesn't mean I have to have a CAT scan. They're giving me a CAT scan. They hooked me up for an EKG, and that means I'm going to probably have to have surgery. So I'm like, oh, they think this is probably something else. So when the doctor comes back in to ask how I'm doing with the medicine and stuff, I ask her what's going on, and she's like, we're going to send you to get a CAT scan. We're thinking this could be like your pancreas or your gallbladder or maybe your appendix or something could be going on, because understand, I'm still heaving. I'm heaving, and there's nothing in there to heave, but I'm still having these horrific heaving episodes. So, so they get me off there, put me in a wheelchair, take me in, put me in the CAT scan, come back, everything's going well. I mean, everything's going well as I guess it could be. So I'm feeling better because I have, all this is numb now. Everything's numb. My brain is on drugs. I'm kind of chilled, okay? So then they come in and they're like, well, there's nothing. The CAT scan shows nothing. Everything is fine. But by the way, you do have a herniated esophagus. I'm just like, okay, that's good to know. That wasn't the issue. That's not what they were looking for, but the CAT scan did show that. So she was like, oh, by the way, you might want to get that checked out. So that's good. I'll figure that out later. So what? He distracts me. I apologize for this. So anyway, they put me on an IV. They get me all full of fluids. So they hydrated me back up. So that was good. And then they released me finally at noon to come home. So I was able to come home. Now, granted, this whole time, and I kept telling them this, you got to get me out of here. My puppy's in his crate. He wakes up at 7 o'clock to go out and go potty. It's 12 o'clock or it's 11 o'clock or it's 10 o'clock or whatever. I kept telling him the whole time, I got to get home and let my puppy out. I got to get home and let my puppy out. So when they came in and they started taking all this stuff off, they're like, guess what? You get to go home and let your puppy out. So I guess I was kind of neurotic about my poor little guy. And by the way, he did great. There was no mess. There was nothing. He just, what a sweetheart. He just soldiered through it. And just another little side note, during the night when I was still home heaving and everything, he was just the best. Like, he was hugging me. There was a point where I was sitting on the edge of the bed. He walked around and he put his back up to me. He sat with his back to my back and he put his head back so that his head was on my head. And he just sat there with his head leaning against me. He was just the best little support puppy. So anyway, so I get home, let the puppy out. He's doing great. I'm sick. I'm still sick. Even they gave me something at the pharmacy to help me after I left because they knew that the drugs that they put in here were going to eventually wear off. But I was so sick, I couldn't get to the pharmacy. And I was really worried about Louie, to be honest. I wanted to get home and let him out. But anyway, so I didn't get the other additional medication. So I was still sick when I got home. But nothing like I was. I was just really queasy, just like you have a really bad upset stomach. There was no pain or shooting pains or anything like that. So so I came home in all of the gross stuff. I still have little stickers here and there on me from all the stickers they put on me. I just climbed into bed and I curled up, and Louie was insane. He was insane. So I let him out. I fed him, let him out. Whatever, locked him out. Well, not locked him out, but kept him out in the yard for probably a good hour to give me some time to just kind of maybe recover a little bit. And he came in, and at that point, when he came in, I knew he had to come in. I was just like, do whatever you want, tear up whatever you want. I don't even care. I'm just going to lay here and get better. And he was really good. He would jump up and check on me every once in a while. Then he would run back into the rest of the house and do stuff. And I could hear him. And I would lay in there thinking, I wonder what carnage he's creating. I wonder what he's destroying. And then I would I don't even care. I can't even get up. So probably about once an hour, I would get up and take a little walk through the house and nothing. I mean, nothing. He was just such a good boy. He had free reign in the house, which he loved. He was just loving the free range of the house, but he didn't do any damage. So I was really proud of him. And so it took me until all the way last night, about 8:30, I was finally able to nibble on a tiny little piece of toast, maybe 2 little bites and some water. And then that started things gurgling. Literally it started, I was like, no, we're not doing this. Let's just go to sleep. So, I gave at that point, I did give Louis some of his calming medicines, and I calmed him down and put him in his crate so that I could just rest. And I just slept all night, and then I woke up this morning and I thought, I gotta talk about this. And so that's why I'm here with you, and I'm feeling so much better. But oh yeah, so one of the main points I was gonna make, I almost forgot. So sometime in the night, last night, I woke up and I was laying there, and it's weird how things come to you. I realized that it wasn't the wine or the single serving pizza. That morning at about 11 o'clock, I had some leftover Mexican food that I had bought when I'd gone out with a friend. And so I bought an extra enchilada, and then I had some extra beans and rice too. So I ate that as like an early lunch. And so I had that, and I didn't think about it. And I think it was the Mexican food. I think that's what got me. So it was food poisoning, because they couldn't pinpoint what it was, because it was none of the other things, the more serious things. And they kept saying wine and a pizza would not create this kind of a reaction in you. It wouldn't create this violent of a food poisoning in you. It was the Mexican food. So I'm going to stop that practice. So the Mexican food honestly was about 3 days old. And I did look at it and I wondered, and I thought, oh, it's only like 3 days old. It'll be fine. I totally was not fine. So that is that story. Why I felt the need to share that, I don't know, but I did, and I'm fine. I'm drinking herbal tea today. One of the things that it really, really has been good for me, like you take the bright side, right? So the thing that this has really been good for me, and I know, that those that have been watching me for a long time, I've struggled with my culinary skills, and I've been trying super hard to cook, and now I can't cook at all. I'm trying really hard to cook really good, strong, healthy foods that feed my body, all that stuff that we always want to do, and this isn't really new for me, and I've shared with you before that I was a vegan for 11 years when I was young, in my 20s and 30s, and I've been a vegetarian off and on throughout my life since then, just kind of depending on what's going on in my life. I'm not right now. I am eating meat. Clearly, I ate a chicken enchilada that almost killed me. So I'm really focusing now. I mean, I woke up this morning feeling really good and really grateful that I really wasn't dying. Like, it wasn't a heart attack or a stroke or something more serious. I'm really grateful for that. And for that, and plus I have this hernia in my esophagus. I think I'm going to really address that a little bit too, or a lot actually. So I think once I get back into my real life, where I can do things and I can cook and I can take care of myself properly, I'm really going to start again trying to take care of myself better. This was a real wake-up call for me. It really was. I thought I was dying. I was ready to die. I was accepting that I was dying. But there's so much more life I want to live before I go, and I certainly don't want to go in a hospital. So it was a wake-up call for me. I'm grateful I'm here today. I'm grateful you're here watching me, if you've made it to the end. Watch those Mexican leftovers. They're good, but man, sometimes they have a strong bite on the back end. Live your life well. Stay tuned and stay whimsical.